Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our September 17th Mornings with Mayesh. I'm Yvonne Ashton, the Director of Marketing here at Mayesh, and I just want to give everyone a few minutes to come on in before we get started. While we're waiting, go ahead and say good morning. Let us know where you're from, and then we'll get started. Super exciting. So, a few things, guys. Today, we bleh, bleh. Can I start over? I just got done chatting with Alison, little pre-chat, and then I was on the Facebook Live and Instagram Live at the same time, so I feel a little tongue-tied now. So sorry. Okay. While everyone is coming in to say good morning, make sure that you post your comments and questions in the comment section. If we have time, we will definitely go over those questions, I promise. And good morning, Huntress Florals. Peonies and Petals is saying that they can't hear anything. Anyone else having issues hearing? If you can't hear, let me just say, if you can't hear, try refreshing. Or make sure to use Google Chrome, because that's my jam. I feel like everything works much better on Google Chrome than anything else. So hopefully that helps you out. Whoever's having issues at Peonies and Petals Design from Anaheim, SoCal. Good morning. Lynn, hello. Nancy. Nancy can hear. That's awesome. Hi, Laura from Maryland. And let's see. Everything. Yeah. Oh, Lisa from the UK. Hello. So cool when someone is watching from a different country. That's very, very cool. Very humbling. All right, guys. Keep on coming in. Help me spread the word. Share this with all your flower friends. And in a couple minutes, we'll definitely get started. Also, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that the replay for this video will be available on Facebook immediately. Then I will be uploading to YouTube along with our blog. And on the blog, I also include all of our show notes. So that way you have the links and the questions and all that fun stuff. In addition, make sure that you guys check out our podcast. I create an audio version of this show and create a podcast. So if you listen to my podcast, can you guys do me a huge favor and leave us a review? We don't have a whole lot of reviews, but I know there are people that are watching and listening. And people say that they love the podcast. So because you can listen to it while you're driving, while you're designing, while you are walking the kids to school. So please leave us a review because that helps us out a ton. And I would really, really appreciate it. I also wanted to let you know that we have one last workshop coming up for 2019 with Sean Strong, our amazing design start. You guys, his videos are the bomb this year. I don't know if you guys have watched them yet. People are in love with Sean. So if you want to meet him in real life, we are going to be in the Columbus area. It's actually 45 minutes north of Columbus, but Columbus area, that's like the most major city where we'll be in November 11th and 12th. I also wanted to mention that my ticketing is broken right now. So don't worry, it will be fixed hopefully by the end of the week. I'm hoping in the next couple of days, but by the end of the week, it should be fixed and we will be selling tickets for our Columbus workshop again. So do not worry if you go and you look at it and it's not working. I know, and I'm sorry. I also wanted to make sure that you guys know about our next Mornings with Mayesh. It's going to be scheduled for October 8th, and I'm going to have Putnam and Putnam on. Talking a little bit about this. I don't know, guys, if you've been paying attention, but they are the authors of this flower color guidebook. They are amazing designers, trend-setting. People look up to them and watch them. And so if you want to meet them, you can virtually by coming to our next show. And then you can meet them in real life because you can come to the book signing that we're hosting at our Mayesh Houston branch in November. So super exciting. Keep a lookout for all of that information and mark your calendars for October 8th. And that is all of the main stuff that I need to review before we get started. Let me see. Who else? Everyone is here. Good morning, guys. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Hi, Penny. And good morning, Terry. All right. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start over a little bit, and that way I can cut all of this off for the podcast. Sound good? All right. Hi, guys. I'm Yvonne Ashton, and welcome to our Mornings with Mayesh show. Today, I have a very special guest, Alison Ellis of Real Flower Business, and she's going to be answering all of your flower questions about business, pricing, and flower math. That is her jam. I don't know if you guys know Alison, but she's an amazing designer, passionate floral educator, and she loves to teach florists how to embrace the business side of business. So that way you guys can make money and take control of your future. I think that is perfect. And she's been working in the industry for over 24 years. And she is a home-based floral business, and she started in 2002 with that. Super, super exciting. She focuses exclusively on weddings. And after this show, I hope that you guys visit her at realflowerbusiness.com. And I know she has a really cool deal for you too. So stay tuned for that. And with that, I'm bringing on Alison. Good morning, girl. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. Good morning. So good to be here.
It's amazing to have you back on the show again. I believe this is your third time, so thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. It's really fun. You know, I do a lot of live streams, but I don't get to interact with people, so this is always a treat to see you. So thanks for having me again.
Yeah, and you do a ton of live streams, and I do want to mention that because that is definitely one thing that I admire about you and a few other designers, that you're brave enough to put yourself out there, get on lives, and just share your knowledge and your passion. And I just love that.
Gotta do it. If you don't, you know, it's funny when people are like, oh, you're so good at these live streams and you do it, you know, I wish I could do that. It's like, do you think I like it? Do you think I was good? You know, you gotta just do it. Sometimes you push through that fear and just do it. Don't worry about if it's good or bad. It's gotta be bad before it gets good, you know, so.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit of what you've been up to lately.
Oh, goodness. Well, it's been a nice, busy summer. Fall is still a busy time for weddings here in Vermont. So I still have, I think, 5 more events to finish up. But other than that, I've been doing a lot of teaching, a lot of writing. I made a new freebie for people called Everything I Wish I Knew Before I Started My Business, which is kind of a fun, it's like half how-to and just sort of half a memoir. And so that was really fun to put together. I'm writing a book for wedding florists, which is going to be really great.
Yes, and you told me about that, but then also I've heard it from Florist Review too. So we had a little meeting about all the books that they're working on. So that's pretty exciting.
It's really exciting. I've always wanted to write a book, like even before I was teaching anything. I thought, oh, I'll just write a book about wedding flowers or something. So it's just fun to, you know, have an idea from way back when and then have it come to fruition. So I'm excited to get started on that. And then this month I'm doing a sale on flower math. So that's what I'm up to. I'm all about pricing all month long. I've been doing a 4-week pricing series actually. So tomorrow will be week 3 of it. So this is pricing month for me.
Very cool. And I know you have a deal for everyone, right?
I do. So I have a special, it's my fall flower math sale, and I have an early bird price. And I saved the early bird price so that people who tune in to us today can also take advantage of this. So I really only shared this with people on my list on Sunday, but through 2 p.m. Eastern time today, you can save $200 off of flower math. So it's a big savings. And it's still going to be on sale till the 25th. You'll be able to save $150 off. So if you miss it, if you're listening later, like, don't worry, you're still going to save big. But this is just for people who are fast acting. So that's till 2 p.m. Eastern today. So that's 11 Pacific and 7 p.m. in London. So that's the deal.
I love it. Good. I love fast acting stuff. Oh, and I wanted to mention, only because we were talking about this. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Where did you go? Oh, here it is. Courtney, love your top, Alison Ellis.
Well, thank you. I was just telling Yvonne I had to change my shirt because I was like, what did I wear last time?
I know, right? Oh, it's those are the things that we have to deal with when we do lives all the time. Yeah. All right. And then let's get started with, because I got quite a few questions in from our viewers, which is always very exciting. I love it. And the first one is from Lori. She wants to know, she says, the most difficult part of calculating flower quantities is the inevitable flowers that come in unhappy. Do you increase your order for that right off the bat? When dealing with so many different flowers, how do you decide which ones to increase?
That is a question I love because it's just a great recognizing of our reality that, you know, we can order, we know roses come in 25s, bunches of 25 stems, but should you plan to use all 25 of those stems, or will one or two of them maybe not be the most premium because maybe their head got broken or they got crushed, you know? So someone in my group actually shared on Friday, like some very sad looking sort of backs of dahlias. And, you know, it was like, what am I going to do? Right? What am I going to do with all these things? And people said, oh, this is unacceptable, right? Unacceptable. And I said, you know, it's not about, someone said, well, you know, just get credit. It was just like this list of people at credit, unacceptable, right?
Right.
But that's not good enough sometimes, right? Like, getting a credit doesn't help if I need dahlias, right? Getting a credit doesn't help. So sometimes we need to make do, right? So it turns out, let me fast forward to the good results that this florist was able to pluck that bejesus out of the back of the dahlias. She made this gorgeous bouquet. So, you know, sometimes not all is lost just because the quality seems to be not perfect. We have lots of tricks. I remember learning, someone said, you know, with peonies, oh, they're so open, what do I do? Someone said, oh, you spray the back with glue. Like, you know, we have tricks.
Right.
Hold those things together, right? Especially for a wedding, you know, it's not the same thing as when you need longevity in a flower shop where you're sending out an arrangement and it should last a week.
Right.
You're really doing it for day up. So that the first thing would be, think about how you can make that thing work, how you can use that. And then when it comes to making your recipes, though, and ordering, yes, you should, for example, with dahlias, I always assume I can't use all 10 dahlias in the bunch because most of the time you can't. Maybe it's too big of a dahlia, right? Or maybe it's the one whose head broke, right? Because that happens. They're beautiful in there until you open them up and then that head just falls right off. So we have to be planning ahead. And some of this is just experience, right? Some of it is the more you do it, the more you know. Yep. For example, gerbs, almost always, you're going to use every single one of them, right? You can tell if they're broken. When it comes to, like I said, with the roses, you might have some loss. So the best you can do is just estimate as close to what you need, but know in your head, oh, you know, the last time I had those, that didn't all work out. I need to order a few extra. And then what you need to do is charge for the extra. So if I know that my bride must have dahlias in her bouquet, and it's a tricky time of year to get dahlias, those dahlias might be a higher price than the per stem price because I have to order more just to get those perfect 5 dahlias or whatever it is. So, you know, you have to think smart about how do you charge for this. And when someone must have something, they must be willing to pay for it. Otherwise, it's not a must, right?
I love it. It's good. I have a question from Peonies and Petals Designs. They want to know, what kind of glue do you use? The spray adhesive?
I'm not gonna lie, I've never done it personally before, but yes, that is what they were talking about, that spray glue to hold the petals on the back of a peony. When they come and you're just like, oh, are these gonna, you know, are my coral charms gonna hold until Saturday?
Yeah.
Spray that little adhesive right around, you know, the bottom of the sepals there to help hold the petals on. I mean, it's brilliant.
I think, is that called petal proofer? Do I have that right? Design Master, are you here? Sometimes they're here listening. If you are, I hope you hop in.
Let us know what it's called.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Christy Halsey, she loved petal proofer and talked about that a lot. So I feel like that's what it is. But you guys...
And if you had to, you could probably use, like I've used the kind with the floral lock with the big tube and
floral lock too.
You make it work, whatever you need to do.
Yeah. It's awesome. And then I like this comment from Penny. She says, hey, fabulous book idea, Day of Fixes.
Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. That's the title.
Right? Exactly. All right. Our next question is from Breck. he wants to know, I'm assuming do you mark every flower up 3 times for standard weekly arrangements and weddings, or different for weddings? There's a few questions here. Do you charge labor on weddings or just for flowers? If so, is it 20% of the flower cost, or how do you calculate? And then also, does labor account for delivery and setups like archway installations?
Okay.
Lots of good stuff here.
Love these questions. So let's take them one at a time. So first, do you do a 3 times markup on every flower? The easy answer is yes, but the real answer is the proper markup is anywhere between 3 times to 4 times, okay? So I personally mark my flowers up 3 times. That's usually how I do it, but there are some people who mark it up 4 times. You can choose your own adventure here. So there are industry standards on pricing that have wiggle room within them. So that's why, there isn't one right answer to how much is this bouquet, which is what my video was about last week. That was my live chat last week. How much is this bouquet, right? It's a question people ask all the time.
All the time.
And the answer varies, right? And so why does it vary? It varies because people pay different prices wholesale. People charge 3 times to 4 times markups on their flowers. People add their different delivery fees, right? So everyone has their own wiggle room within the standard. So yes, mark them up at least 3 times. And if you need to, mark them up 3.5 times. Mark them up 3.25 times. You can do whatever you want that feels good for your business. And you got to remember that every now and again you want to give yourself a raise. And so sometimes the way we raise things is by raising that markup a little bit. And it can be a little, it doesn't have to be a lot. But yes, a minimum of 3 times on everything that is fresh that you sell. Now, the second question was about, do you charge labor? Am I right about that? He's saying, is it 20%?
Yeah, charge labor on weddings or just flowers? If so, is it 20% of flower cost, or how do you calculate?
So I charge labor. You should be charging labor on every arrangement that you make into any sort of vessel. If you are filling a container with water and cutting and arranging, which you were trained to do, then you're charging what I call a design fee, right? So there's labor and design fees sometimes sort of overlap. Sometimes it's regional based on what country you live in and what you call it. But it's the time that you spend designing, that labor, that's your design fee. And you should absolutely charge it on everything that you make. 20% is too low. And I hear a lot of people say 20%. I don't know where that came from, but I have never worked in a shop that charged less than 32% for labor. So, and that's just like regular flower shop, not like fancy flower shop. So I suggest in my flower math course that you charge anywhere between 30 to 40% for your labor. And it's based on a few things, right? Your time, the complexity of the design. And again, it might also depend how much you mark up your flowers. If you do a 4 times markup, maybe you're more comfortable with a 30% labor. If you do a 3 times markup like I do 40% labor. So, again, there's that mix and match, choose your own adventure piece of this.
Right.
But you should, if you're charging 20%, I want to highly encourage you to charge 30%. Not just Breck, but anybody out there. Because 20% just really isn't enough. It's just not. And sorry, the third part of the question was?
Does labor account for delivery and setups like archway installations?
So again, that's why we want to be clear about design fee and labor. Delivery is always separate than your design fee, right? So if you have money coming in, let's just say it's not a wedding for a second. Let's just say it's not a wedding, right? Flowers, you get an order in your shop, you have $100 to spend, right? So you have to make your arrangement and you have to take that delivery fee out of that $100, or you have to put it on top of the $100. So design fee is one thing. That's for your time spent in shop designing. And then delivery fee is separate. That's for the time you spent. It's for your van, it's for your gas, it's for your people. And what I like to really point out is something that I learned too late in life. You can charge for delivery. People pay for delivery. I became more confident in this when I realized that the rental company charges like $200 to deliver you a single napkin to your venue if you forget something. They don't go, oh, well, it's a small thing, so.
Right.
There's a minimum for their time, the truck, the whole thing. And what I've started doing again, too late in life, but realizing, there were many years where I was always like, okay, it's 2 hours on site and, it's 150 for delivery or something. Well, now I realize, no, there's time that I spend loading my van. That's when my delivery time starts, right? Then there's the time I'm driving, the time I'm setting up, the time I'm coming back, and the time I'm unloading my van. Because why is that on me, right? That's part of your job. That this is the gig. Part of the gig is me having to unload this stuff. So I include that in my time too. And someone was asking a question about this in the group, my group the other day. Well, I got on site and then there was more to do, so I was there longer. Well, again, what I've come to realize is it's my whole day. Whether it takes me 1 hour to set up your wedding or 4 hours to set up your wedding, I can't go anywhere. I can't hang out with my family. We're not going on a hike, right? I'm not, accomplishing anything outside of my day that's like, bringing in money into my business, right? It's preventing me from making more money. So there's a price. So you can set whatever rate. You can set whatever rate that is like this is what it costs for me to show up, again, with my van, my gas, my people, and spend the time. And it's always on top. So you got your markup, your design fee, and your delivery, and they all get added up on top of one another.
Very good. So Penny says, I think she was adding everything up. So 62% total markup. Is that what it ends up being?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to look, but it could be. Again, I do things in Flower Math where I break down the formulas very simply. So I do things piece by piece. Mark up the flowers, add the design fee, add your container, and then that's how you get your final price.
Very good. Annalise says, how do you structure your pricing? Which we kind of talked about. I do weddings and special events. I price out piece by piece. I find that sometimes the margin is too small. I'm wondering if there's a better method. Do you have any advice for Annalise?
I feel like I wish I knew a little deeper what she means by I price it out piece by piece, but this is what I think she might be meaning by that she might be making recipes for everything. I know some people make recipes before they send out a quote. I don't suggest that you make recipes before you send out a quote unless you absolutely have to. So what would be a situation where you absolutely have to? You've never, ever made this before. Your client wants combo roses and cappuccino roses, and I don't know what else is out there that's super expensive with that flannel flower, right? These are their favorites. Yeah, and I price that out, right? How much are these things going to cost so I can come to the real price of this bouquet? But this is also something I share in my Flower Math course. Have starting prices on things. And I share all my starting prices over like 16 years in business in my Flower Math course. So you can see how they've incrementally changed, how some things haven't changed that much. But if you have those starting prices, you can make money off of them, right? Because you've just set these prices. You know that if you have someone who spends $250 on a bouquet or $150 on a bouquet, that you can make money on that. So that's really how I would address that. The other piece of this is setting a minimum, right? So if you say, well, I can't make money on it, again, you can make money in this business. So with that, maybe she's right. If it's a 62% markup, like, hello, you can make money on this, right? So you can make money. And the way you do it is by, again, having your own set minimums on individual pieces and then setting a minimum for the event so that you don't end up with a $500 order that you thought was going to be a $3,000 order because they took off all the centerpieces and they're doing their own arbor now. So that's how you can protect your profit margin a little bit. And I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. This next question came in through email, but I didn't have a name attached to it. So just anonymous email.
Anonymous email.
Do you mark up the same for greenery and a bouquet arrangement as you do flowers?
That's a great one, and it's one I get often. So the short answer is yes. So I actually did a video on this because one of my Flower Math students asked a very similar question, like, how do you price garlands and greenery, like bunches of greenery, when you can't price per stem? So I have a video that I shared on Flirty Fleurs about that. I also include it in my flower math course. 3 times markup on fresh is always what I do. If you're buying like a pre-made garland or something, you could do a 2 times markup or 2.5 times markup. Treat it like a supply because you don't have the labor involved. But you should feel confident marking up anything fresh 3 times.
Very good. And my next question is from Roxanne. She says, how do you know how much product to buy for an installation? In my case, a wedding arch, if you have never made one before. And then also, her brides are getting married in 2020. How do I know what the pricing will be so that I may provide them with a proposal? I think those are both really great questions.
They really are. So again, going back to if you've never made it before, right? This is our life, okay? And like I like to remind people. So I've been in business. It's been 25 years now that I've been a florist. I've had my business for 17 wedding seasons, 17 years, so 18 wedding seasons. I'm in my 18th season. I can't tell you how many times I've made something I've never made before, right? And it's just part of what we do. Back in the day with when we had horse and buggies, but pre-Pinterest, right? Like you had to sell an idea without a visual, figure out how you're going to make it, figure out how you're going to price it. It was so challenging. Pinterest is such an amazing tool because you can see what we're looking at. You can actually point and count and estimate. You can, ask your other florist friends, hey, any ideas about this? So you can get sort of like that hive mind mentality of people saying, well, I think that's at least 5 bunches of ruscus, or I think that's 20 bunches of baby's breath, So if you've never made it before, I say, the first thing is look at the inspiration picture, because you probably have an inspiration picture, thanks to Pinterest, and count things up, right? Count it per foot, how much per foot or how much per 3 feet would I charge for this? You can count up how many hydrangea exactly do I see here, how many roses. So, and I like to do things a couple of different ways if I'm not sure. I'll add up what I see. I'll add up what I think it costs per foot or per 3 feet or whatever. And then I add some extra labor. You add up, well, maybe I need a little extra this, and you come up with your price. But again, we're so lucky that we have these groups where you can ask people.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people are gonna be like, don't you know? Who cares? If you get an answer that helps you, that's great. You don't need to reinvent the wheel on things. And someone might say, oh, I made that, and this is exactly how many bunches I used. I do that, again, I just added a bonus to my flower math course. So I keep adding to the course. So there's 6 real weddings in the course. And I just added a $10,000 wedding to the course that includes these hanging greenery installations that I did. So they're about $1,000 a piece. And I break down for you like exactly what's in them, what I charged, how much I charged for labor, why I did it the way that I did it. Because those are things that can be intimidating, but I mean, I know I was intimidated to hang something from the ceiling of a tent, right? It's so easy, so doable. So, don't be intimidated by things that you haven't made before, and do your best. And you know what? The truth is you might price it wrong and then you'll learn. That is really the truth.
It is. And it's that's the fun part too. I mean, obviously you don't want to be way off, but it's exciting, I think, to work on something new and to figure it out and strive to be as close to perfect as you can get it, for your first
sometimes
time.
You're going to over order. Sometimes you're going to under order. So then you learn, you take good notes, and you do better next time. The second part of her question was about 2020. So again, this is something that I teach in flower math, is that I think in retail dollars, okay? So I don't think about what did I pay for this so much as what do I sell it for? So that's what I would think about if you're unsure what things are going to cost in 2020. And, sometimes there's a price increase on something that you didn't expect. So it's not even about planning. It happens sometimes. You can buffer yourself by just increasing your retail price slightly. Because when you think about it, unless the wholesale price goes up tremendously, if you just charge, maybe again, if you do the 3 times markup, maybe do a 3.5 times markup in your mind's eye for 2020 so that you have a little bit of a buffer. I have been, like I said, doing this for a long time now, and in 17 years, the prices of things have changed pretty incrementally.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
You know, like seriously, yes, there are little changes in things, but unless you're only pricing to the wire where you're like, oh, I priced this exact, you know, make a retail price. Think in retail dollars. I don't think about how much did I pay for that rose. I think about how much do I sell it for. So maybe you sell your rose for slightly more next year. And if you end up where you don't have to spend more, maybe then either you have more profit or you get to fill with more roses in your bouquet and it gets bigger. So it's up to you.
Yeah, perfect. Real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to all the viewers right now because we're hovering around 100 live viewers, which is really good for a live video. Typically, I feel like between like around 50, sometimes 70. Just always depends on what's going on, I think, in people's lives. But I love it that you guys are all here with us. So welcome.
Yeah, we're glad you're here.
We're glad you're here. Okay, guys, let's see. We have one more question from Sarah that's in my show notes that we're going to go over. And then I see a lot of good questions in the comments too. So we'll leave time to go over those as well.
Awesome.
All right, Sarah's question. To itemize or not to itemize? That is her question.
Ooh, it is the question, isn't it?
She says, I feel like as the customer, I would want to know what I'm paying for. Example, 9 bridesmaids bouquets at $120 each equals, $1,080, etc. But I'm afraid itemizing would just bring up more confusion and questions like, hey, why doesn't my itemized list add up perfectly to the minimum you quoted me at? Do I then have to explain the cost of labor, design fees, etc.? And then the second half of her question is, and if it is a good idea to include itemized list, where should they be in the contract?
Okay, so there is not one right answer to this. It depends on your business. It depends on your brand. It depends on who your customers are, okay? So some people can get away with not itemizing at all. There are some florists, so here's the higher end approach to proposals, okay? Maybe you meet or you have a conversation. They throw out a price that you must agree to, and you get zero information until you sign a contract, okay? And maybe you get a general, like, here's the lump sum, or maybe you get, here's how much your ceremony flowers are, and here's how much the reception is, and here's how much delivery is, and here's the minimum, okay? And I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong. That's a way that some people do it. And if you can make that work, then great. But much like the question began with, as a customer, right, you like to see how things break down, right? Like at the end of your meal, you get your bill.
Right.
You like to see the things that are on it. So you didn't pay for like the champagne that the table next to you had, right? It just makes you feel more confident when you can see things. So the way I do business, I'm a transparency freak. I like honesty and transparency and value, right? Like that's what I do. So I do personally itemize. Now, you can do something kind of in between here. You can do like a partial itemization where, again, you say, here's what ceremony costs, here's what the reception costs, and give them some detail. I personally like to not hold back, okay? I like from the minute that I talk with somebody, for them to get a sense of what it's like to work with me. And you're gonna get, again, that honesty. I'm gonna tell you, oh, you know what? Those sunflowers that you want in the end of September, I'm not a fan of that, okay? That's what I'm gonna tell them. So I'm not gonna say, well, let's get under contract and then I'll tell you what I really think. I've done it both ways. I switched from itemizing years ago to doing like a lump sum total and requesting a minimum. I always request a minimum on every order, and it's a custom minimum. It's not a like blanket minimum. It's based on their order, okay? So whether it's itemized or not, there's a minimum that they have to be in for. Now, when I didn't itemize, I didn't find any repercussions. There was no like people not booking, not trusting or anything. It was easier and faster in some ways to send it out without like everything having to be perfectly worded, but it didn't feel authentic to me. It didn't feel like the way I do business. And so I stopped doing it. And what I also found was there was this little blip in my workflow when I did it that way, which was then when it came time to finalize and stuff. At that point, now I'm like entering all this stuff in to give them an itemized invoice, because I did always itemize for them after they booked, okay? I do think it's okay to not give them an itemized quote ahead of time, but they should see what they're paying for. I really agree with that sentiment. There's again, that honesty and transparency that makes people feel good. And if we want to wow people, right, we want to wow our customers, an important piece of that is meeting their expectations all along. So if they can trust you, if they know they get an email reply from you, if they call you and you call them back, right, you're meeting expectations, you can wow. When they're doubting any little thing about you, a little thing goes wrong, it leaves just enough of the door open that dissatisfaction can creep in, where something that might not have been a big deal on the wedding day all of a sudden is a thing, because you have failed to meet those expectations all along the way. So this is not a small detail in your process. And again, there isn't one right answer. So while I am clearly being like, itemizing is way better, it's really not. It really depends on your brand and your customer. Most florists are not going to be able to get away with, hey, I met with you. Hey, I wrote you a general proposal. I'm not giving it to you until you give me a deposit. That's just not the way most people are going to want to do business with you. And there will be way too many florists who are willing to give them the pricing. So you just have to be true to yourself, right? That is the question, right? To itemize or not is the question, but being true to what feels right for you is the way to do it. That's truly how I think of it. I just sent out a quote the other day for like $15,000 wedding, and I itemized it. And I itemized it in a way I haven't done before, where I sort of did a lump sum. The wedding is this much. The rehearsal is this much. The Sunday breakdown is this much. And then I put all these lists of items that she might want, so she can have as many of these things as she wants, but she sees how they all break down. And on things that I wasn't sure about, like, I don't know how much something for the staircase will be. I don't know what that something is, right? Is it an arrangement? Is it an entire stairway of flowers? Like, what is the thing? So it's on there without a price. Here's a placeholder, right? You can choose your own adventure on these things too. But at the end of the day, we want the client to trust us, feel like they know what they're getting, and sign quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. RSVP Floral Design says, I'm finding it harder and harder to give non-detailed or non-line item proposals when most couples are reaching out on email and Instagram now versus in person after more detailed discussion.
I do all of my booking before meeting in person. So,
yeah,
it's, again, another reason why I'm okay with giving a little more detail, because I haven't given you hours of time. That I feel like you already know me, right? Like, this is my introduction to you. This is how I show you that you can trust me and find me professional. So I agree with that.
Yeah. And then Lori says, I give descriptions in all my bids after they committed. I give a bid to a bride, and then she took it to another florist, never again. Which I think that's what people get scared about doing.
They do.
Like sharing too much.
I think that is a big thing. I think florists spend too much time on those initial proposals. So, I give I actually have a proposal course where I share my template, how I do a proposal really quickly. My goal is to do it in 2 hours or less, which is still a lot of time, let's be honest, right? But again, I want to itemize it. I want to think about it. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. I want to make sure I spelled your name right. I want to make sure I have your date right. I don't want to just whip this thing out, even though I do. I want to, do it quickly, but also have it look professional. And so I don't, write what's going to be in the bridal bouquet and what's going to be in the centerpieces. I just want them to know we had the same conversation. Like, I see you, girl. We had the same conversation here, and we'll get more detailed if you decide you want to move forward. So I think that is a good way to do things. Like, whether you itemize or not, don't give away the farm. If someone takes my proposal, first of all, I share it as a template, so I obviously don't care if you see it. but if you took it to somebody else, it's not like they would be like, now I know exactly what to do. Evil mustache twirl. Let's make this happen, right? They won't get any information. And if there's anybody out there who's writing like how many of each thing, Do not write like how many roses or how many, that's never at any point is that their business, because you might decide you want to put 4 roses in, or something might come and you can't use it and you've written it down and promised it to them. So we never share our recipes with the customer, ever, ever, ever. Stem counts are not something that the customer needs to know about.
No, no. And you don't want anyone, because there are like those anal brides out there, right? That'll like, or
So her question on the itemization, she also touched on the idea that it gets them thinking about counting it all up or something, right?
right.
When you do that, the stem counting, that does even more. That's when you have people who are like, well, instead of 6 roses, what if we do 5 roses? And what if, well, now they're Picasso here, right? They're the artist coming up with something. So, I do think that itemizing isn't actually that scary if what you're doing is authentic and honest and you're like giving your best price. If they can't afford it, then they can't afford it and they move on to someone else, right? But if they can afford it and you give them all this good information, then ideally they just book with you.
Yes. Yes. Renee, just one more comment for this one. She said, I made it easy on myself and came up with some base pricing for weddings, a bouquet, medium, large size. This includes markup. I know has to be in place for my business structure. Then depending on florals, it goes up from there. I also have a minimum for weddings.
Exactly.
Yeah, it probably helps her get those quotes out like super fast.
And that's exactly why I can do my quotes quickly too, because I know the minimum I'm charging for bouquets, the minimum I'm charging for centerpieces, the minimum. So I can modify my quote from there, and I don't have to think, what container is this going in? How much does the container cost? How many hydrangea? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have a set price and you can make something beautiful for $95 or $150 or whatever your price point is.
Right. All right. So a question from David. It's a 2-part question. Do you add in any truck gas charges into delivery setup fees, or do you wrap that into the flower cost? Sometimes we need a large truck that can be an entire delivery cost. Also, transfer of flowers from one location to another. Sale ceremony flowers have to come back to the reception right after. Do you charge for that?
Heck yeah, of course. I mean, if you needed somebody to do that for you, would they charge you? That's a question, if you're ever unsure.
Yes.
Imagine it's something else. It's a cake, okay? If your cake maker had to rent a truck, would they charge you for the truck? Yes. If the cake maker had to come back and re-deliver something, would they charge you? Absolutely. So for some reason, florists tend to be like almost martyrs around delivery or, anything that's not a stem price. It's like, I can charge for the flowers, but my time, I don't know. That's pushing it,
Right.
If somebody wants an event big enough that you need to rent a truck, yes, you charge them for that truck. So I just said how I did a quote for a $15,000 wedding. So what I did was I assumed I'm gonna need a truck for a couple of days, and I built that into the price. So I don't need to itemize, here's where the itemizing, do I itemize truck? You could, but is that their business? Like, no, it's just part of the delivery and setup, and that's how much it costs. So definitely charge for it. And breakdown, that's the other thing. Breakdown's not like, well, I'm gonna charge $100 for it. Yeah, you're going out in the middle of the night, you're moving stuff, you gotta wait your whole day, right? You're done with your wedding, you're exhausted, you come home, you barely maybe eat something, and then you have to stay awake. I mean, Lordy, you gotta stay awake. You can't fall asleep on the couch. You can't have a glass of wine. You can't, do anything except wait to go out at night, which is so fun. No one has ever driven to go break down and been like, this is exactly what I want to be doing right now. No matter how much, you pay me $1,000, and I'd be like, I can't believe I have to do this right now, right?
Right.
Some people hire a team, right? Some people are smart and know like teenagers will do this stuff for them. So you figure that stuff out, but yeah, the client pays for it. If they want it done, they pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. And so from the beginning of the question, then the gas for the truck would go into the delivery setup fees.
Absolutely. I would include all of that. Like, so, when it comes to me driving my minivan to weddings and stuff, I don't necessarily nickel and dime the gas on that, right? Because I have an hourly fee for delivery that's high enough that it includes that, right? Like I have that built into it.
Okay.
So build it in there.
Great, great. Let's see. This next question is from Morgan. She says, I think my pricing has been all wrong based on this. So if a bride has a $5,000 budget, roughly how much should I be spending on flowers? I understand it would be different for different companies, just ballpark.
Okay. So this is a good question, but I absolutely cannot answer it. I'm going to tell you why. Because there isn't one answer. Because out of that $5,000, you're going to take whatever you have to for delivery, right? So for you, that might be $500. For somebody else, it might be $1,000. For someone else, it might be $200. Okay, so that comes out of it. Then it's your labor. Your labor's got to come out of there. Your supplies come out of there, and then your flowers. It's a good question, but here's another reason why I'm not going to answer it, aside from just that it's complicated. Because I really, and this is what I don't just teach it, I preach it in flower math. You can't go to your wholesaler with a spending goal, okay? I think florists this is another like little martyry thing that they do sometimes, is this idea that I owe it to my client to spend a certain amount of money out of pocket. I want to just pause and just like think about that for a second, right? Like, it's in order for your client to get value, you have to spend a certain amount of money. That's just not correct, right? So I never go into my wholesaler with a spending goal in mind. Now, to answer your question a little bit more in detail, once you take off your delivery and once you take off your design fee and once you know what you're spending on your supplies, in theory, right, if you do a 3 times markup on your flowers, if you divide by 3 with whatever you have left, right, after you took all those things off I just named, that would be your flower budget. But I still want to just, again, reiterate, you shouldn't go to your wholesaler with a spending goal, because anytime you go, I'm going to spend 30%, all right, that's what a lot of people do. Again, in flower math, what I teach is that you can make a 70% profit margin on what you spend on flowers and supplies. So that doesn't include people you pay or trucks you rent. It doesn't include your utilities to run your cooler or any of that stuff, okay? But you can make at least a 70% profit margin on what you spend on flowers and supplies. So people will flip that and go, well, then I can spend 30%, right? It's just, math just isn't that easy. That's just the truth, especially percentages. It just doesn't work that way. If you spend 30%, you're already overspending, okay? So that's why I teach flower math. Again, it's on sale today. You can get it for $200 off. I really do have people tell me that they make back the cost of the course in just one wedding, okay? So
I believe it.
It's, if you just get this right, you make money forever, okay? You make money forever if you do this right. I make 70% or more. A lot of times I make 73, 74, 78, okay? So it just is about understanding your pricing, because here's the thing. If I make that 78% profit, right? Oh, well, I must have not provided enough value to my customer, right? Because I didn't spend enough. That is not correct thinking. It is not correct thinking. That person got tremendous value. She got amazing customer service. She got beautiful flowers, everything delivered on time. Everything was great, right? She got her value and I made more than 70% profit. I'm not going to feel bad about that because I didn't spend enough money. So don't go to your wholesaler with a spending goal.
Very good.
Profit goal. That's what we want to think about.
Think about that, guys.
Yeah. You gotta think.
All right, so I have another question from Kirsten. How much help do you generally have for wedding design and wedding setup?
Good question. And I think most florists would say, not enough. I don't have a lot of help. I'm not going to lie. I am not huge on relying on help. I usually have a day of setup helper, but not always. The truth is not always. Sometimes, like on Saturday, I had, I forget what it was. It was maybe like a $3,500 wedding. And I had enough time, and it was really kind of nice to just do everything myself, place everything just where I wanted it. So I did that alone. A girl who's been assisting me for many years now, I think maybe 14 or 15 years, just had a baby. So I'm down an assistant. But I piecemeal these things together, just like a lot of you do out there. So I'll have a Saturday helper, again, almost always. And I've had someone who's come and helped me make boutonnieres for like 14 or 15 years now. But other than that, I really do pretty much everything myself, unless the wedding gets super duper big. And then, if I had a $17,000 wedding a couple years ago that I needed to bring people in for. And on a setup day like that, maybe I think I might have even had 4 people helping set up. So it's proportionate to like the size of the sale.
Very good. I'm looking through all these really great comments. Let's see. There's a lot, you guys. I love it. Keep it coming. And if we can't get through everything, then maybe I can work with Alison to kind of answer them afterwards and include them in the show notes. Absolutely.
I mean, pricing is just such an integral thing. Like if you don't understand your pricing, like you don't understand your business, we have to get our heads around this. And you don't have to be ashamed that you don't know these things, right? Or like that you kind of know it, but you're not applying it right. I printed out some of my my flower math testimonials for like my pricing series, and my friend Shannon bought my flower math course, and she said, that she said, I already knew how to mark up based on the flower shop technique, but I felt like I was all over the place and not focused on how I was pricing my work. She says, I love that I now have it all in one place. I can refer to it and utilize. So now I also feel like it's taking the guilt out of pricing flowers, which I think is a true hurdle for people. I couldn't charge that much for a hydrangea. I just tell myself, according to the flower math, that is what I need to charge. And that is like, to me, that's everything, because that is how I run my world, right? So if I'm looking at something, I go, oh, that looks small. So like this weekend, I did eclectic bottles. Everyone's favorite. Eclectic bottles, they're so easy. Meanwhile, you're like, I'm charging double labor on these next time. This is such a pain, right? So I price them at about 25 a piece. So usually it's about 125 a table, okay? So I want them to look good. I want the whole table to look good. I design them per table and I add them up. And you can look at it and go, is that $125? I'm not sure. Let me see. Pull up the calculator, do the flower math, easy, done, boom. Oh, those dahlias, I estimated them at 5, but you know what? They're actually 7, boom. Okay, and done, filled to value. I don't have to question it. I don't have to worry about it. I don't show up and if somebody says, oh, that looks kind of small, well, it's filled to value. And flowers are expensive. It's not my job to sell you cheap flowers. It's my job to sell you beautiful flowers like you expect, right? So that's the bottom line. When you do the math, it really gives you that confidence. And I still do this all the time, where I will re-add up what I did, because I always make recipes, right? And I share, I think I might have like almost 30 recipes in flower math, because there are 6 real weddings with 6 real recipes, with real recipes for all 6 weddings. Pictures so you can see, right? Because I can say I made 70%, but if I deliver garbage, that's no good. So you can see like what I made. And I will still add things up, because sometimes you're like, oh, but I really want to add this, right? Or like we were saying, like maybe that extra rose doesn't fit in here, but it's still to value, right? Or move that value and put it someplace else. You have to be confident. This job is too hard to not be confident when you show up that, you made something beautiful, that it's filled to value, and that you can like put it down and be like, boom, I have done my job here,
Yeah, exactly. David had some good advice. David is from Mayesh, Miami. We love him and all his flower knowledge too. Literally probably one of the most knowledgeable people about flower history and flowers. He knows all of the botanical names. He's freaking amazing. So if you don't know him, you should.
I love botany boys.
Yeah. So he said, he talks about tear down lemons from lemonade. For newer designers, it's worth keeping flowers and foliages from breakdown and practice new designs on Monday morning. An opportunity to get creative, and even if the flowers are a bit distressed, benefits are huge. I like that little
amazing advice. Yeah, it doesn't have to. Because I don't know if there's anything more depressing than having to take apart the
Oh,
arrangements you just made, right? You're like,
yes.
please, it's like, take my wife, please. Like, somebody, please take these arrangements.
Workshops are the worst because it's literally up for we have to do that too for our workshops, and are
Yep.
obviously not at a wedding or anything every
Yep.
weekend, but
What goes
it's
up
very
must come down.
sad.
But that's a wonderful way to like to think about, like, hey, if I'm not sure, one day I will make that chandelier. I'm going to practice. You know, I love that advice.
Yes. Let's see. And then this is I like this too. RSVP floral design. Can you please do a tutorial or video that explains, educates couples on how wedding florals get priced the way they do? Good Lord, if they just knew what to expect, it would make life so much easier. You know what I have to say to that RSVP floral design? I think you should do that. I think everyone that is watching here needs to start getting on live video, or even just making videos, getting on and putting up things on IGTV and doing lives and talking about the process. They're your customers, and of course someone can make one and everyone can share it, but this is amazing content for you to put out there for your customers. And then it also builds trust, and they're going to start falling in love with you again before they even freaking meet you, before they even go to your website. They're going to see this and be like, oh my goodness, this is the person that I need to be working with. So RSVP floral design, I think that's an amazing idea, and I hope that you do it, and I hope that everyone else that's watching does it as well.
I actually have a video I made years ago called "Are These Flowers Expensive?" And spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Okay. It's just really important for us to embrace, you know, when a customer says, are these flowers expensive? You know, my standard answer is, and it took me many, many years to get comfortable with this being my answer, but, you know, when someone says, oh, are these flowers expensive? I just say, yes, all flowers are expensive. Let's just put that on the table, okay? Because if you want something inexpensive, you're not in the right place, okay? And some people do inexpensive stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, if you're looking for inexpensive, like, look no further. There is no such thing as inexpensive. It's expensive because, and again, so this is the tricky thing with what you're saying. So we want to educate the customer. Sometimes and I've seen people do this, like, here's why flowers are expensive, right? Or here's what goes into it. It almost comes across, again, this martyry, like, do you know how long I slaved over this hot stove to make this for you, right? It's like, do you know how hard I went to workshops and I learned this and I've perfected my craft and I have to go get the flowers, and I have to unpack the flowers, and it's all true, but it's like, let me get out my little violin about how hard you work at your dream job, right? Like, you know, if we love what we're doing, I think that we shouldn't be afraid to say to the customer, these flowers are expensive, and it's because I care so much about what I'm bringing to you, you know? Like, boom, done.
Yeah. I love it. Boom, done.
Boom, clap.
It's 10:58, guys. We are out of time, unfortunately. there are a few questions, Alison, that I'll be sending you.
Okay.
So many great conversations happening in the comments. I love watching that. And then thank you for joining me, Alison. Is there anything that you wanted to end the show with?
You know, just thank you so much for having me. Thanks to everybody for your pricing questions. I love talking about pricing, and it really helps validate me that you guys need stuff like Flower Math to help answer questions for you. So if there's anybody out there who's like, I don't make a 70% profit margin, or do I? How do I figure that out? Check out Flower Math. It's, like I said, it's on sale I have an early bird pricing. It'll be on sale till the 25th, but today only, till 2 p.m. Eastern time, you can save $200 on it. And someone was in my live chat last week saying, I paid full price for the course and it's fully worth it. So I really want you to know that I want you to get tremendous value. And Flower Math has a money back guarantee. That's how much I believe in this course. I'm here to support it. If you have questions afterwards, shoot me a message. I will answer your question. I'm not going to be like, well, you bought the course. Now, I mean, I'm here. I'm a real person. I support the course. You're not on your own. I want you to make more money in your business immediately. That's my goal. So
And
Thanks
we
for
do
letting me
too.
talk to your people about this. I appreciate it.
Of course, healthy florists are good for all of us. So
It's so true.
we need this. So thank you so much, Allison. And I know we'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a great day. Keep doing beautiful work, everybody.
Bye. All right, guys, how amazing was Allison? And if you all are still hanging in here, I love you. Seriously, that is amazing. And I real quick wanted to just mention, we're talking about business and the health of your business and what you can do to improve that and learn more. And that brings me to Flourish by Curate, which is a conference that's happening in November 18th through the 19th. And it's all about business. So talking about sales, growth, marketing, processes, all of that fun stuff. If you're struggling with business or you want to learn more or you just want to be inspired by like-minded people, then you need to go there. And guess what? I will be there in live, in person, talking about my passion, marketing, guys. So I'm really, really stoked. I am going to post a link in the comments. Go and visit that link and you will save $50 at checkout when you use the code Mayesh. And you got to sign up by September 20th. And then if you do that too, you're going to save an additional $200 off for the early bird rate. So if you guys are interested in meeting me in St. Louis, I hope that you take advantage of this deal. And with that, you guys keep on sending in your flower questions. I love seeing them. I will always use them in the show, whether or not it happens next show or a show in the future. We will be using those. And I also wanted to mention for everyone that I used their questions in the show. So let's see. Lori, Brack, Annalise, Roxanne, Sarah. If those questions, guys, that you sent me early in preparation for this show, I love you. Email me your address and I am going to send you one of our Mornings with Mayesh coffee mugs, travel mugs. Love it, love it, love it. And that is it, guys. I hope you have an amazing day. Again, keep on sending in your floral questions. Thank you for joining us and have a rocking day. See you soon.